Hello? Are you intentionally muted?
Hi, Lisa. Yes, we're intentionally muted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You guys sign all the invoices.
What was it?
Okay.
Oh, you did? Oh, great.
Did you
sign this week? And I have. Are you like, what's your signature? Good job.
That's it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Oh,
I'm supposed to say, shall we bring this meeting to order at 6:36? We have a quorum and let's get started. The first item of business is Emily Hauser and the CAC update, but she's not here unless she's on Zooming. We'll skip over that.
Yeah.
No, I don't have,
Okay.
I'll let you know if she logs in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elise. The next one is item number 2 is ADA sign removal. There is a request to remove a handicap parking sign at 18 Belvedere Street. Do I have a motion? Ready for a motion? Yeah, ready for a motion.
To discuss. Motion.
Second?
Second to discuss.
Okay. Any discussion?
Rita is here. I don't know if it's her request and her
Hi, Rita.
board. I don't know. Rita, did you want to speak on this or just paying attention? You
I'm
good?
sorry, what was this one?
This is the ADA removal sign that you put in for. Where is it?
It's at 18 Belvedere Street.
Do you have anything to add since it's your ward or you?
No, I mean, it's just routine.
Yeah.
It is. All right, thank you. So hearing no discussion, I'll need a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. The next one is a bar appointment. Glenn Baker is here to talk about it. This requires resolution.
This one, no,
Committee report, please.
Oh, sorry,
we have a vacancy in the Board of Assessor Review. We have a 5-member board according to Chapter 8 of our charter, which was revised and corrected in 2013. So David Niles' term expired 9/30/23. I sent a communication to recommend that he be reappointed. He's done a good job, he's done his training, shows up, and is a valuable asset to the board. To let this council know, this is one of the few appointments to any board that I know of throughout the city that the council has.
This is the only one that we have the full authority.
So
There's the 26 boards and commissions. This is the one that we have the limit. Okay.
And even that being said, we've had problems filling this position in the past as well. So I just want to put that out there just so it's out there. Members who know or don't know. So I was in contact with David. He would agree to accept the appointment if appointed. And he's a resident of the city. Meets the criteria.
How long has he been on the board?
5 years. And they're staggered terms. His term is up. Philip Benner-Timon is also a member. He's up next year. Virginia Davis the following year. Matthew Branford the year after that. And Paul Famiglietti the year after that. So they're 5-year staggered terms.
And the total number of board members is five.
5.
Okay.
They meet fourth Tuesday in May for the first board meeting, and then have their quasi judicial board. They hear complaints on assessment or exemption complaints. They have open hearings. The deliberations are quite unique. They're private. They're not, because they're delivered to a judicial board.
Okay.
They come out with their findings. They also potentially meet 2 other times throughout the year if called for by any exemption that may be reviewed mid-year due to any findings from our office. So,
Okay.
so I have for you.
Any questions?
Thanks for making this one easy for
Yes,
us.
so I'll entertain a motion.
Okay.
All right.
I'm glad he wants to do it.
Me too.
Okay, for the record, here's the committee report. In accordance with Chapter 8 of the City of Kingston Charter, this committee refers City of Kingston resident David Niles to the Common Council to be appointed to a 5-year term to the Board of Assessment Review with a term ending 9/30/28. Any, have a motion? Any discussion?
Oh, just thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
All
thank
our-
you.
we appreciate it.
Definitely will.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Done. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Anything else?
Thanks, Ann.
You want to start with this weekend?
I think I may go.
Yeah.
See if the schedule calls for it, but I'm hoping.
Yeah, I hear all about it now, these days with Justin in there.
Okay, yeah. They're excited. I just dropped them off at van. I gotta pick them up at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
Football, basketball.
Marching.
Marching,
Yeah,
yeah.
those days.
Yes, I do remember those days. My kids loved it. It was great. Syracuse was a big trip.
Yeah, the weekends.
Right. I'm not going. Item number 4 is the EMS plan. I guess presented by Mayor, I see Mayor Noble's there. And I know the chief and deputy chief are here to answer any of our questions. So I'll turn it over to you, Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Good evening, everybody. If you just bear with us for a second, I think we're going to try to do some screen sharing so I can actually give you a little bit of a PowerPoint. So it should hopefully pop up on your screen in a second. Great. All right. Well, so thank you all very much for taking the time to chat about this tonight. I know the chief and assistant chief may have reached out and chatted with some of you over the last couple of months about the issues that the city of Kingston and really all of Ulster County is facing when it comes to EMS services, in particular ambulance services here in the city of Kingston. And so I'm going to go over a little bit of a presentation tonight just to kind of give you a little bit of background and kind of our current situation, and then talk about what we think we as a city can do about this. And so first, just a little bit of a background here. So in 2022, the fire department received its first certificate of need. This is something that is given by the New York State Health Department, and it's what's required to be able to have an ambulance service in your community. And it really is kind of like the bar that you need to reach with the state health department to know that you're qualified and have the resources to support being able to have an ambulance service that you run. So we received that in advance of being able to start our mobile mental health ambulance, which launched in February of 2023. And that program has provided us with a good amount of, we've been very busy with that program, and I'll get to that in a moment. Once we got into this year, I wanted to just give a sense for folks of just how many medical calls we, have in the city. So on average, the Kingston Fire Department has a little over 5,000 calls for service. Many of those calls are medical calls. And so just to date, we've had over 3,300 medical calls this year alone that our firefighter EMTs, every one of our firefighters are EMTs, and we do have a few paramedics as well. But, they respond and are the first responders. We are there in 3 minutes or less to all of these calls. And it has really provided a great opportunity for us to kind of help serve our residents and really be able to, be first on scene and really that kind of comforting hand that our residents need in their times of crisis. We do have and have over the last couple of months, it's been very busy with our the changing situation with our ambulances and the lack of availability. And so even recently in the last 2 months, we've actually had to put our ambulances that we have for our mobile health program into service to be able to help our residents. And I think up to date, we've put them in service about 70 times to be able to help our residents actually get to the hospital once we've arrived, to make sure that they're stabilized and, and to be the kind of the first responder. So folks may have heard that Mobile Life, which has been our ambulance service for a really long time here in the city of Kingston, was purchased by Empress. And so Empress is now the new company. And while they haven't actually changed all of the logos on all of the ambulances, this is the company that is now operating our ambulance system. It's a very large provider all across New York State, but they are now who we operate with here in the city. And one of the things that we've seen is that because of the type of system that they operate on, they're able to determine, how many ambulances are available in what areas of the county, and they can decide whether to bring patients on long transfers. If someone needs to go from our hospital to another hospital, or for our hospital to another health institution outside of our county, it does kind of reduce the resources that we have available to us very locally. And they have also suffered, kind of a lack of staffing availability during, this time when people have exited the workforce. And The pay hasn't always been great for these types of positions, and there's a lot of part-timers, and it really becomes a challenge to be able to operate these types of ambulance systems. And it is not just a City of Kingston issue. Ulster County is, doing and having these issues, whether it's in Kingston or Hurley or Ulster or Sopus. And especially as you get into the more rural areas of the county, it becomes even a larger issue, that especially communities that don't have a hospital, in their community, they really have, struggled with service. And so much so that even Ulster County started last year an EMS community survey project to be able to work with Ulster County communities to really determine how they can better help, especially the underserved and rural communities in our county, how they're going to help deal with this situation. That study is hopefully going to be finalized soon, which I think will be helpful for all of us to see. But again, their focus was more on kind of the areas that currently are underserved greatly, where we have been, luckier to be able to have actually a relatively good amount of service here in the City of Kingston up until recently. So one of the things that we are looking at doing, with this program is that in order to effectively run a program and to be able to guarantee high quality service here for our residents, we feel the best option is to be able to have a city-run EMS system. We already have our certificate of need to be able to run an ambulance service. We already have over 50 EMTs and a couple of paramedics working for us. We feel like we have the setup to be able to provide this service, and we feel like we want to do it in a way that will best serve our residents by providing 2 advanced life support ambulances. So there is a little bit of a difference between what's called a BLS unit, which is a basic life support ambulance, and an advanced life support or ALS ambulance. The key difference is that folks who are EMTs and run a BLS license, they are not able to provide certain types of drugs that are sometimes even life-saving drugs to individuals. And you needed more advanced training to be able to provide those types of programs to them. And so we feel like there's a real opportunity to provide this type of life support programming here in the city. In order to do so, we would need to hire new firefighter, paramedics, and EMTs to be able to outfit these types of life support ambulances. And we would need to employ a billing company to be able to make sure that with the type of billing that's necessary, that we're able to get insurance information and actually charge insurance companies for the work that we're doing and for the transport work, so that in the end, the system is cost neutral. So as we mentioned earlier, we have been busy in our circulation of ambulances. We've responded to 70 calls in the last 2 months alone. We do also not include any of our mental health dispatches with those numbers. And so I actually have some slides about our mobile mental health program. So we started, as I mentioned, in February. We've been averaging about 38 calls per month. So far, we've done 274 mental health responses, and we've helped with 63, emergency responses for folks who have been in need here in the City of Kingston. And so the program is going really well. We feel like it's making, it's helping to divert people from the hospital system. It's helping to divert the number of police responses that would normally have traditionally happened. So now, instead of an officer showing up, we now have our mental health program showing up instead. We were recognized for the mobile mental health ambulance at this year's New York Conference of Mayors, and so it was great to be able to have the city be recognized for this work. And I think one of the kind of things that I wanted to mention is that like our staff have been ready and willing to assist as whenever is needed, right? And so we have all had to adjust to the lack of local ambulances. And so this is a picture at the Hooley before everything went a little bit crazy that day, because we had our 681 ambulance down at the Hooley, and within a very short period of time, we had a whole host of medical emergencies happening in the city, and no ambulances were available. And so our very own fire chief, who you see in this picture and who's with you tonight, literally had to drive the ambulance to go and pick up a patient in need because there were no ambulances available to get them to the hospital. And that had to happen multiple times that day. And that was really early September was our first real understanding of really how deep of a crisis this really is, and how we do need to act to be able to just make sure that our residents are getting the best service they possibly can, because no one wants to call 911, have the Kingston Fire Department show up in 3 minutes to be able to stabilize them and help them, and then not have an ambulance show up for more than 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or not have one available at all. And so that is a scary thing, but it's something that has started to happen now right here in Kingston. And so we need to, I feel like we do need to do something. And so we have had conversations with Empress, and now that they're this new company coming into the community, they have asked the chief to sign a contract to be able to have a kind of a bare minimum level of service for the city at, a relatively hefty price to our taxpayers. And obviously this is not the finance committee meeting, and so we really aren't here to talk about numbers tonight. It's really more of the concept of being able to move forward. But there is some urgency to this discussion, because we do have to make a decision very soon as to whether we are all on board with providing ambulance service, or if we don't think this is for us, then we need to start to have these much more in-depth conversations with Empress about what that would look like and what the cost to us would be. So generally speaking, if we were to move forward with this type of program, if you were to give us the green light tonight that this is a direction we would like to go, and we start to do a variety of next steps, the earliest we could really be fully implemented would be April, and that's at the earliest. We believe that, with the type of program that we're providing, we believe that this will be a program that breaks even, especially after the first couple of years, where we will have some more capital expenses to be able to prep and set up all of our ambulance systems. Our service area, of course, is the city of Kingston. So unlike other ambulance services that are pulled out to all other jurisdictions all the time, like anywhere else an ambulance that's currently parked on Cornell Street could get pulled to a Warsing, and with no questions asked. We would be focused here in the city of Kingston, and because of the dedication of our firefighters, we know that they are the best trained firefighters in the county, and I'm sure the chief will say that they're some of the best trained in the state, but we feel like we could provide a higher level of service and a more compassionate level of service to our residents, with being able to be both kind of the firefighter first responder, but then also to be able to help transport those patients to the hospital to be able to get the help that they need. So for us, some of the next steps would be, get the Common Council's blessing that this seems like a worthwhile endeavor, because we would want that to be able to kind of move to what would be kind of the next steps of getting a billing company on board. So we would do an RFP to be able to have a third-party billing, like insurance billing company, that would be able to look more in depth at our population, at the number of types and the types of ambulance transfers and calls for service here in the city of Kingston, and really be able to give, both me and the Common Council an opportunity to see what a real revenue projection would be. And that would allow us to then provide a budget to the Finance Committee for approval, to then allow us to start with the hiring process going forward. And so we feel like this is an opportunity to, move the city towards something that, it's true, we've never done this before, but at this point, in the last month and a half, we've now done it 70 times because we really want to help our residents, and we don't have an insurance biller on staff right now. So we're doing all of these transfers out of the kindness of our heart, because we want to help our residents and taxpayers be able to get to the hospital when they so need it. But I think that's not sustainable. And I think that our current staff are getting, it's a lot to be able to be responsible for keeping the community safe, but at the same time now being called back for overtime and having to, man the ambulances on a kind of haphazard schedule, because we don't know when these ambulance shortages are going to pop up based on staffing at a private company. And so there's just a lot of things that are outside of our control. And I think that this proposal that the chief and I have worked on would help bring us back in control of this initiative, of this really critical kind of healthcare component that it always used to be thought of like, of course you're going to have an ambulance to bring you to the hospital, but that's just not the case anymore. It's not the case in Ulster County and in many other communities. And now in the city of Kingston, it's not necessarily the case that it's 100% guaranteed. So that is basically the quick overview, because I know I wanted to give time for the chief and assistant chief to add anything that we may have left out of this presentation. And then, of course, we're here to answer any questions about kind of the concept of having a municipally run ambulance program.
Any questions? I don't know if you guys have something to add. That would be.
No, this is not new in New York State at all. There are cities in New York State that are getting forced into the game, getting forced, because the fire departments are already in the game, but as a first responder, and then we can't transport.
Right.
So multiple cities, meaning Auburn, which is, the tad bigger than us, Johnstown, Lockport, and now you have Poughkeepsie looking into it. Poughkeepsie never ran EMS to begin with. You got cities that are really getting forced into it because the private industry, they control it. So if we want to keep contract with them, there'd be a contract for X amount of buses. Doesn't mean you're going to have X amount of buses here. They control it. And if they fail to show up, what is the penalty? And then it is a large corporation that is traded on the stock exchange that owns them. So the penalty, we send a letter, the corporate counsel sends a letter to them that penalize you. Where's that going to go? So we see the need for it. We see the public. We've been to calls where the public says, forget about the ambulance, somebody's going to transport them in a private vehicle. We've seen the public where we were there in 3 minutes, child seizing, and we get a call for an unresponsive child. We get there, we get the child stabilized, as the mayor said, due to a seizure. And then the parent is, where's the ambulance? And now we got nothing but control. All we do is our radio, and all we can do is repeat whatever the ambulance or the ambulance dispatch in Poughkeepsie tells 911 center. That's the only thing we can do is tell them what they were told. So with this particular program that we've been working on, and with a policy that would be put in place, that these ambulances, they don't go out. They don't go out in the city. They're here for the city. Unless all bets are off if there's it's called an MCI, where you have a bus crash, something like that they had out on 84. All bets are off then. We got to do the right things. We're human. Well, other than that, pretty much is that ambulances are for the city residents. There's 2 paramedic ambulances would be for the city residents. That means that, uptown and downtown could have a serious medical going on, and you have two medics, one on each call, pushing drugs before going to the hospital. We had the third ambulance, which would be the mental health ambulance, that potentially if we get a third call and we need to transport, that's got to come into play. We've already have alternative plans for mental health and where they move. If we had to take your ambulance and you move to here, then you move to there, and then we'll come back to you as quickly as we can with an ambulance. But, right now, every time we take the ambulance, the 70+ times that we've gone out so far, last one was last night right up here at the, they thought it was the ER. They were wrong, it's a heart attack. But the last time we went out, or each time the ambulance goes out, there's an engine that's out of service.
Right. Now, let me ask you a couple,
Yes.
just a couple questions. Staffing, how many more people?
The ambulances take to a paramedic and EMT, so that'd be four and there's 4 shifts.
Yeah, right, okay. And the other thing that crossed my mind, I remember this, and this is a conversation for some other time, I suppose. I remember we were having problems with the floor of the firehouse.
Correct.
But I'll ask you offline about that. Where were these ambulances?
We got a plan.
Okay, good. Where were the ambulances?
Offline, we got a plan.
Okay, good.
And we'd be very happy with the plan, and the mayor was very instrumental in making this plan. The fish that got away came back to us.
Can I ask a question kind of piggybacking on that? Because the plan that I kind of know about, that's the plan. Okay, great. Okay, because I met with you guys like day before. I think you were gonna go do that walk.
Correct,
So,
yes.
great.
Yeah.
But just to piggyback off of that, I'm a little nervous on the timing, because if this is gonna up and start April 2024,
Mhm.
where is the building going to be ready by then, or is there gonna have to be some kind of interim location for?
No, we have room for an ambulance in the Uptown station. We have room for an ambulance at Central Station. Ambulances they don't weigh that much on the floor. That's the least of our problem, or the SUVs or the.
Well, I was
ambulances.
thinking more space. I
Yeah.
realize it's the
Right.
fire engines that are,
Right now, we can put a second ambulance over here, right down the hill, and we can put a third ambulance, it'd be up at the company, so. We freed up some space. I mean, it's tight,
Yeah.
no doubt about it, but.
Yeah.
Basically, the fire department, the mayor, and the union are all in, we will do whatever needs to be done to, protect the citizens of Kingston and the visitors, and give them the best EMS service possible that we can give them.
Do you expect a problem getting staff? Finding people?
I thought Chief Tinsey be here. We got people lined up.
Okay.
it's like to rub it in his face.
Everybody wants to be fired, and nobody wants to be a cop.
How did you determine that 2 was the number that you need? Will that be sufficient to handle all the calls that you're getting, do you think?
Well, the third ambulance, which is to be the mental health ambulance,
Uh-huh.
then we'd have to do the curly shuffle like we're doing right now.
Right.
But we're trying to go in with just a minimal amount of investment.
Right.
And let the numbers prove to
Got
you,
Yeah.
we need or don't need 2, or we don't need 3 ambulances. Let the numbers prove to you. Let you go back to common council with reports and say, okay, for the year, we did this.
Right.
And then,
But 2 seems a good place to start based on
2's a
the
good-
calls that you're
good
getting, the
place to start.
experience you have. Great.
what we have here, because we have control of the ambulance, we have control where it goes.
Right.
And the hospital's only 3 miles away from where we are in the city. So the ambulance is quick. There isn't that big of a problem with the turnaround period at the hospital. Like there's other medias that you read or hear about. Troy is a prime example where they're up there sitting there for 40 minutes out in the parking lot waiting to transfer a patient. That's not happening in Kingston.
Okay.
Knock on wood. Why? I couldn't tell you. But the turnaround period in Kingston is relatively quickly. And then it's only another 3 miles back to wherever that other call is that's waiting for an ambulance.
Michelle?
Yeah, so, at this point, the 2 ambulances that we have, can they be outfitted to be ALS buses or we need to?
They can be outfitted, yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah, matter of fact, we just don't have all the equipment for that, but we're slowly acquiring stuff.
So this would be 2 BLS.
To
ALS, will it?
ALS, yes.
Oh,
ALS, yes.
And what are the number of calls that you're receiving now from, in relation to EMS that we're contracting? Like how many EMS services is Kingston contracting at this point that we're filling in? Oh,
You mean to help with the hospital? Like,
yes, to help.
The call, so the
in
calls that
Kingston.
you get that you send your trucks to, your engines to,
Right.
that's your question,
Yeah.
right? So that
Or do
we
we have-
would then be doing ambulance
So
instead of.
Empress, so we're either going with funding, ambulance or working with this contracted.
Or we pay Empress
Empress, so
for,
it's either or, we have to make a decision today,
correct.
whether we go forward with that.
The or is Empress right now has proposed a one ALS,
Right.
BLS. And we have no control of them.
Right.
So meaning,
We're presently budgeted to have an agreement with Empress?
no,
We're not. Okay,
No,
so
we don't.
none of this is on the budget, okay.
no. Word on the street is, January 1st is when they're gonna really start
Right.
acting like Empress. Right now, they're taking Mobile Life and all the Mobile Life contracts or the Mobile Life areas that Mobile Life used to cover.
Right.
Like Rosendale didn't have a contract with them. And they're trying to cover that. January 1st, it's like contract, you have a contract for it.
So we did not have a contract with Mobile Life.
No,
Didn't
we,
need
back in
one?
the nineties, we had it. And that kind of went all by the wayside because we were getting very good service from Mobile Life.
And we pay them per trip.
We don't pay them anything.
Yeah.
No, they collect everything.
Oh, from.
So the mayor,
Right,
the mayor was talking about, and just as a figure of, and this is, I'm just ballparking, but we had 70 calls, 70 transports that we did in 2 months. And just put $400 on the basic, that's just a basic transport. That's one, we're not billing.
Right.
That's a free transport.
Right.
For the public. And we're just the building, how the building we want to set up is, it's what the insurance you're gonna pay. And that's it, we're not gonna second bill. It's like soft billing. Okay. The key here is, real important is that control. Control.
Which is what we need.
I propose, yes, control. The mayor has been since day one saying it's control. We will control where the ambulances go. Meaning if we're going to go outside the city, there's got to be extraordinary circumstances going on. Because he wants an ambulance for the person that is down in the city, no matter what, resident or a visitor, doesn't matter. The ambulance for them.
So I have 3 questions. 2 of them you already answered to me privately, but I think it'll be good for others to hear, including the public. The first question might be more for you, Steve. So part of the plan that you're gonna put together for the finance committee, is that going to also be the building and like the whole kit and caboodle?
I think at this point, before we can even put together a plan for the finance committee, we really need to go forward with this RFP to be able to get the third-party insurance agent picked out and chosen so that we can come back to you with really strong numbers to be able to then kind of put the plan in action, to be able to know, if we're going to bring in $2 million in revenue, then, our expenses should not be more than $2 million ideally. Or if they are, we need to be able to explain to you all very well why it is that way and what we're going to do about it. I think that, we are formulating the strategy to kind of create some more space for the fire department. I don't have a real good timeline on what that's going to look like yet. We still have to do some more due diligence before we actually really have a good plan to put forward. So they may not be exactly on the same timeline.
But you can kind of give us a rough idea of, just so we have everything to consider, even if it's not hard numbers.
Yeah, I think we may be able to at least give you some general numbers for kind of fire department investments in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. So I just wanted to let you know if that can happen when you bring it forward to the finance committee. I think we'd all appreciate it. Thank you. And then, so my other question, when you started talking about it, you said there are other municipalities in New York State that have kind of been forced into this. So there are other municipalities who have already started this, who are a few steps ahead of us. Have you been in communication with them?
Absolutely.
You knew my question.
Absolutely.
And can you talk about if there are any ramifications or unintended consequences, so to speak, that they have told you about that we know to have a heads up on so we can avoid them? Or is it all good?
It's all good, but they let again, numbers dictate what they were gonna do, it's expand or not expand. Johnstown started with just one ambulance, because the hospital's in Johnstown. But the numbers took off, and the numbers proved the numbers and the income showed that, yes, they could support a second ambulance. So now they got 2 paramedics going, 2 paramedic ambulances up in the city of Johnstown, which is only 18,000 people. Auburn, they started off with 3. I just talked with the city manager. They started off with 3 for the city of Auburn. And they are now going to move to a 5th ambulance. And that was done 3 years ago.
So the only real ramification or negative is that they just need to do more.
They need to do more, but they let the numbers, again, they all started with what they thought was appropriate. And then once you got into the business and the numbers started showing and the runs and so forth, and then the income the mayor's talking about, then it's proven that they have to put on a 5th one. And what happened in Auburn is AMR, which is another private ambulance service, they pulled out of Auburn. And they were doing all the transports up to Syracuse. So now Auburn, again, forced into the game because they weren't doing transports. They were doing just emergency runs. They got forced into the game now because the provider left the hospital, and the hospital has these patients that need to go north to Syracuse. So again, as a fire department, all right, we're gonna do whatever we can to make it happen.
So you have successful models that you look to base this on.
Yeah, they're successful, and what I like about them is they started off with what they thought would be the appropriate coverage. And it was the appropriate coverage. It was just that navigate people.
And one more question, unless you wanted to piggyback on that.
I was a little kind of connected,
Okay.
so if we don't have a contract with Empress, will there be any negative ramifications, say with Kingston Hospital needing a transport and getting someone?
No, since Empress is bread and money.
Okay, so they'll still come to the hospital. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bread and money.
okay, all right.
And then, so my third question, most likely my final question.
Okay.
Pops
Sorry
up.
about it.
And you kind of briefed a little bit on this, is there will be some times where, or plenty of times that you just go to Kingston Hospital, sometimes it's not a trauma center, so that there would be a call that would have to go down to Westchester.
Mhm.
Is there a plan in place for that? Would you make that transport? Or
Right now, this is Brad, I'm not for everybody. I gotta share it with you. But right now, I gotta just read the numbers from right now, this for up to October 24th this year. We had three transports, but City of Kingston residents and or visitors were transported to Westchester. Three went to Westchester ALS. That's a trauma 1 level center, trauma center, level 1. That's the best. And pretty much the paramedic makes that determination. This person does not need to stop here. They need to go there. And they can't get a helicopter to come here. They gotta go there. And they make that determination and then they go. That's a life or death type determination. We went to Vassar 14 times over Poughkeepsie, a specialty hospital over there, especially for NIC, for the infants and the children. And that, I believe, is also a level 2. That's not a level 1, but level 2 trauma. That's, again, serious trauma, you go there. They went to Northern Dutchess, and almost 100 times. Now, Northern Dutchess is a smaller hospital than Benny. A lot of our repeat customers, they think they get better treatment over than Northern Dutchess. It's false. But they just think, or they went to Benny yesterday and they didn't think they got the treatment that they should have gotten. So today they call and they want to go to Northern Dutchess this time. Now, with us controlling the ambulance, us with a policy in place, we can have the policy put in place that Kingston will not bypass a hospital to go to another one unless it's extraordinary circumstances, meaning you're going to the level 1 trauma center, or you got Nick, and you got to get the infant, you got to get him or her over to Vassar. So you can go, you want to go to Northern Dutchess, we're happy, you just got to find somebody else.
But how, I'm sorry, but how would that work? I mean, would you just, Steve, this may again be more of a you question, is that just communication to the city that this is our policy? That you go to Kingston Hospital versus you don't get the choice of Northerners? Like, how do we make sure that people know so that if you go to a house and they're like refuse to go to Kingston Hospital, but they're having a medical crisis, obviously, and you know, so how would that be just a communication on the city's side of it?
Most times it occurs with the paramedic and EMT saying, no, you really need to go to the hospital because they're going to do A, B, C, D, E, stabilize you, then you can go to Northern Dutchess or get doctors over in Northern Dutchess. Yeah. The other times would be is like, you're not going to get anything better over in Northern Dutchess than what you're going to get here. You know, and it's like, and we don't transport over there. Because that part of our model is quick turnaround time. We got 2 on. We'll go to the 3rd, we're forced to it, but we're really not banking on it, but we believe that 2, we should be able to handle 99%. Take that one wild curveball in there, and then, okay, we gotta bring the 3rd one out. But that's what we're banking on, and that means over to there quickly, transfer a patient to Benedictine, then off you go to wherever in the city. So that's what we're banking on. And the policy's already done. Elmville Rescue has that, their paramedics have that, there's Elmville Hospital. Unless, again, there's a criteria. The paramedic is the criteria saying, you need bypass, you need it now. And where we've done times, we've done times we've got to Albany Med. We've done times where we lose a firefighter that goes to Albany Med or, goes down Valhalla. But they're going to the best possible spot and the best care. We're providing them the quickest way and the best care that they need. We're providing them by going to that route.
Okay, anything else?
Just
No,
one
we'll have
question.
I'm sorry.
When can we expect the Ulster County EMS community survey? And what does that look like? Who created that?
They had a third party out of Texas do it. And he did a lot of Zoom meetings with us, called us and so forth and so on what do we do, how do we operate, what are the numbers. He knows all our numbers. He knows the turnaround time frame for Benedictine. He knows that all. And he works in conjunction with Everett Erickson, which is emergency management. So Everett doesn't have any hair to begin with, and he's still pulling it out, trying to figure out how they're going to do it. Because it's a crisis. It's a crisis, no matter what. And we are 3rd on total poll crisis. The top contender for the crisis is below New Paltz.
Okay.
The second contender is out West Hurley area. Then the city of Kingston jumps in as the 3rd contender, as being, crisis. So.
I just thought of another question. So, not counting the 70 times that we've done the transports, can you share some data about how long after you've had to wait for Empress or Mobile Life in the last couple of years to show up? Like how long wait time's been?
The fire in North Front Street, I came out of bed and it was there before the engine got there. Because the engine was out with medical, and you can't leave the person, because that's abandoned, that's the Department of Health law. And the city, let alone the EMTs that are on the call, would be held responsible if we left that patient. So I get out of bed and I get to the call on North Front Street, and it's like, where's engine 2? There's an engine missing on this picture. What's wrong with this picture here? And then engine 1 had to come off with engine 1 had to come off with a medical, because they had an ambulance did arrive for them. But there was a fire up on North Front Street where there was only 4 firefighters there. It was at the truck and engine 3 was the first engine to North Front Street because of that. So we've had that occur multiple times. We've had truck one out Stony Run for 25 minutes. That's, before the ambulance. Trucks are stuck out there at Stony Run Apartments. They can't leave the patient. It's abandonment. No matter what the patient's problem is, serious or not serious, they cannot leave the patient unless the patient refuses medical, the signs off, but they cannot leave. We cannot leave.
Right, so then we have two issues, really. We have the fire department getting held up, and then we
Right,
have
so
the lack of
people should be at
ambulance.
risk.
Correct.
I have another question. How long does it take to get an ambulance?
Well, we wait sometimes for SOPIS because.
No.
Oh, find one?
Yeah.
Right now, we got an eye on the third one. Between the three of them, and that's what we talked about, what I'm trying to stress to you is, the mayor has too, is that we're not going in, like both feet are jumping into the pool and we don't even know how deep it is, type of thing. If we get this third ambulance, we'll have 3 ambulances, their value will be less than one brand new ambulance. But their condition and for the city, 3 miles this way, 3 miles that way. They're ideal for the city. Ideal for the city because of such short runs for mileage, where Shandake's gotta come down to Benedictine.
So the first lift, you get by with 3 trucks,
With 3,
one
that's,
mental and the 2 others.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
But again, we're not trying to, we know about the bank, down to it wouldn't allow us to do it, but we're trying to get proper equipment here.
Right.
But we have a backup, meaning that if one bus goes down, the mental health bus has to come out, and that has to run, emergencies. But then mental health, we already have a plan, and we'll go with the plan, and she moves into a SUV. So we're still providing that service. We'll never give that service up. We'll get the clinician and an EMT to that person somehow, some way. But ideally to start off with, and again, give numbers in 2024. By this time, 2024, we'll have numbers. Not the most accurate numbers, but we'll have numbers for you. An average, how much is going to come in per month. And this and that, how much we spent so far on the ambulances and so forth. So it's, I think between the mayor and I, we're doing it very methodically and, it's just like, I'm never we're all in, we're gonna lose type of thing. But the fire department, the union, the mayor, we're all in on giving the best possible service to the taxpayers and to the visitors of the city of Kingston. We're all in for that.
So I'm saying the last thing.
Cheers, okay. So just to clarify, you're not talking about buying a new ambulance, but just equipping the basic life support ambulances that you have with advanced life support?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
And part of that equipment is gonna be reconditioned.
okay,
That's,
yeah,
we're doing everything we can, to
okay.
keep it
Thank you.
very reasonable, but again,
You have
the
to,
products, we got to bring the product out to the customer
right,
and the product's got to work.
Right.
So it's not,
No, I just want to thank the mayor for the presentation. I want to thank Jeannie because she told me about this several weeks ago. And I was like, I'm all in. She stayed on the phone with me like, dude, this is why this needs to happen. I thank you guys for presenting and for just caring about our residents to see the problems and take care of it like immediately. Thank you for the
but I
presentation.
gotta say, I can't brag, I gotta brag here, but I think I got the most transports. I think I got the most transports.
That's how people would.
The assistant chief has driven the ambulance at times, I mean, that's what I mean by all in. All in is, if we gotta come down the stairs or on the Hooli, I gotta get in the ambulance and drive an ambulance. In my shorts and, when I was dressed like that, we're all in, it's, may not look the greatest out there in the street, but as long as we get the proper care,
That's all that
it
matters.
doesn't matter.
Good. Thank you very much. What do we do next?
So the next steps, there's nothing that this committee is actually, any action that you're moving forward to the common council. I was hoping there would be 5 voting members, although Rita, if you're paying attention, hopefully you could chime in too. If there's the support here to say that, yes, we want to continue this conversation and go for seeing what the billing service would look like and then ask for presentations to the finance committee. So it's more of just a feeler.
So you want to poll,
So we could do, yeah, like.
see how we're doing, see how we feel about this. And Rita, you're gonna have to speak up because I can't see you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, all right. How
You
does
can hear
everybody-
me. You can hear me though, right?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. How do people feel about moving this forward?
I think we should move forward.
Yes, everybody read it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we should move forward on it with the intent on getting more information as we go forward, right?
So we have a
Yeah.
consensus of this committee to move it forward to finance, I guess, and to the common council.
Well, I'm not gonna put it on finance until I get something more definitive. I just wanna make sure that that's clear so that there's no mixed messages here. So, yeah, please move forward and I'll look forward to a communication with a presentation to finance. And
Great.
Steve, if you could send that presentation to the rest of the council, I'm sure the members who weren't here would appreciate it.
Yes, we definitely will. And we, it will take us a little while to get the RFP out. The chief and his team have already started to kind of put together the basics. And so we'll probably get that out, hopefully early next month at the latest. And so, we'll hopefully be able to have a presentation, sometime in early January with finance, looking to, have a much more formal discussion and looking for approvals of things like that. So.
That's good.
Thank you.
Sounds
Thank you.
great.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you, thank you.
All of you, yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if we want to take a break for a minute or we just dive right into the stuff.
Breaks, yeah. But thank you for the tour the other day too.
No problem,
It was
anytime.
great to
Office is open
learn more
anytime.
about what you
Office is
do.
anytime, just come on in. Jeannie's always there. All right, take care, good night.
Good night.
Have a good evening.
Can I craft this a little bit?
Absolutely. Never.
I know they are, right?
So a little background from our president.
Yeah, I sent out an email, so I just wanted to make sure everybody understood the process, because I asked for questions, I wanted to give Steve a week. More questions came forward than I was anticipated and Steve was anticipating. So when he asked what to do, I said I would really like it for it not to put this off another month and to just do whatever he can with the questions. I did send them the questions in the order that council members sent them to me. And I did combine a couple that were basically the same question, or that were the same question. But then I asked Steve to use his discretion on which ones he wanted to consider for tonight. So I don't know if did you just start with question number 1 and go down the list? Or did you?
Yeah, it's basically.
Oh, all right.
All right, the floor is yours, Mr. Knox.
All right. No, it's been a really busy year with the building department. When I took the position, they told me that in the winter, things would slow down and we would get a little chance to breathe and kind of catch up on some things that hasn't happened.
That's not what it is.
No. Well, it hasn't happened any year. So building activity has remained very strong and stuff this year. I guess I'll start with some numbers and stuff, and then get to some of the questions that you asked. So far this year, we've had 401 violations issued 2 properties. We've had, I'll get to SDRs a little bit later. There has been just under 1,100 MDLs, or residential rental property inspections, conducted so far. we're at about 2,230 building, construction, electric, plumbing inspections. We've issued about 2,030 permits so far this year. Just to kind of give you a little bit of reference there, 3.5 years ago, building permits were at about 750 a year. Last year we did just about 2,500, and we're on pace to
Is it kind of, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you don't mind, if we could interrupt, if we get questions. The new zoning ordinance is going to change you think that's going to increase your workload?
I think there'll be some increased workload, certainly surrounding the ADUs, and some of the SDR stuff will increase the workload.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's.
That was one of the questions.
Oh, okay.
I think everybody asked that question, so that,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really early in with the new laws in place and stuff for us to really provide an evaluation of what's coming in. Right now, there's been a lot of inquiries. The SDR applications have come in, and we'll go over those numbers a little bit later, and how enforcement and stuff will work with that. But the ADUs, although we have some applications in, it's been a lot of inquiries, and not submissions yet. So I imagine people are getting plans together, and we'll be submitting that soon.
Steve, can I just ask for just like the process so we stay organized? Would it be helpful if we just go through in order here with the questions? And do you want me, I have the questions here, so
Yeah.
is it helpful, do you want to just say the questions so everybody knows, or do you want me to say the question?
You can say the questions and then.
Okay, that way you know what he's answering. Okay. Did you have any more for your beginning?
Just a few more numbers. Stop work orders issued. We issued about 54 stop work orders. That's people conducting work without permits.
Less than I expected.
Well, it's actually up from
No.
The thing is with stop work orders and stuff, we come up on someone that's doing a roof. We'll tell them, you have 2 hours to get to the building department to get that permit going and in place. Otherwise, we will issue a stop work order. Seems to
That's
work.
a good way to
It's a
go.
little bit more friendly and seems to stop people from yelling and screaming. Although I did have one of my inspectors pinned against the wall and spit and stuff last week, but, there were 456 complaints submitted to building safety. We issued 350 CFCs / municipal searches. And so far, we've received 163 FOIL requests, which is, last year, I think we did about 120 something, so 163, we still got 2 months to go.
That's significant.
Yeah.
Are they from neighbors or from people's sewers?
It can be from everything. It could be residents looking to buy property that want information on it. It could be somebody that's has a lawsuit. It can be, there's a number of companies out there that just want monthly information on permitting activities or whatever. I don't know what they're.
Okay.
So that's kind of the numbers that I have for you. I'll give you SDR later.
All right, so, and again, I'm just gonna go in the order of received, and if you wanna skip anything, just let me know. Right? So the first question, we understand that service requests submitted via the Kingston 311 app get routed from the IT department to the appropriate department within City Hall. I'm not sure if anybody knew that, but if that's correct, does the buildings department maintain records of complaints received?
Yes, so service requests come in through 311. They are forwarded to our department. Clerks take that information. They enter the information into Municity, and then that is assigned to an inspector to go and look at. There is a little bit of redundancy there because we have to take the information from 311, enter it into Municity, so that if there is a violation, you know, those things are tracked in Municity, and our violation notices and stuff are created in Municity. So when we get something from 311, normally I'll respond to the submitter that we've received it and an inspector's been assigned, that we have to take a look at it within, you know, however many days. And we'll issue whatever appropriate violations or response we feel is necessary. I normally close that in 311 at that point.
And it's not saved anyplace?
The
The record of that,
the record of it, well, it's still saved in 311. You can go.
the original
Yeah,
inquiry,
yeah,
but
yes.
not any, but that, and then that's it, just original inquiry saved.
Right, because then it goes
To the part
then
of
it
your
goes to
records.
Municity, otherwise I'm
Right, yeah.
inputting that information in both systems. And also, if I don't close it out and we issue a violation notice and they're given the 30 days, which is typical, to come into compliance, I get a notice to act on that submission every couple of days, so it becomes annoying. You know.
Hey Rita, you're not muted, just so you know.
So sorry.
It's all right, I mean, if you want to jump in, I just had a feeling it was not intentional.
Okay. Let me.
And then, do you have numbers for the past year of how many 311 inquiries you received, your department received?
I don't have numbers for how many 311s.
It could be an IT question then,
I
or maybe not even.
mean, I probably could go on and look. I didn't have time to do that. But the submissions through 311 are small in comparison to, you know, what's submitted either by email or people calling in. The 311 stuff is a tiny percentage of that.
Thank you. Did anybody have anything off of that? All right, the next question. The buildings department has a great new portal to handle permit requests. What changes could be made to the department's webpage to facilitate the submission of information regarding unsafe, vacant, abandoned buildings? And how will that information be tracked? I guess that is only if there is changes there.
So if you've gone on our page of the city website, you'll see that we are making a lot of changes to our webpage. And there is a vacant property link there with all the information on the processes for vacant properties, what needs to be done when you register for a vacant property, list of all properties that are on a vacant property registration. We are talking with Kyle and IT and stuff to try and put a button or something on there where residents can either report a vacant property or report issues with vacant property. And I expect that will be up within the next week.
Oh, wow.
As far as tracking that information, I mean, Our mystery software, right now is for permitting. There's some additional information that's also tracked and stuff. But if you guys are looking for specific information to be tracked, then that stuff has to be sent to the software company, and they have to make the modifications to the software to create fields so that we can filter that information. All that's at additional cost, though. You know, they aren't doing it for free. So, and we also, could, like the permitting portal, create a vacant property portal, if, you know, if we want to, expend the funds to do that. It can be created, and we can track whatever information.
So no plan right now, but there's potential for it.
Well, we actually have spoken with Municity recently about that. I just got a cost estimate for it. I haven't gone through it because they just sent it. I haven't really gone through it, but it's in the neighborhood of $20,000 for creating the vacant property portal. I will say that the Municity software has been a lot less expensive than some of the other options. I think when we did the portal for permitting, they came in at like $48,000. I think the next closest company was like $128,000. Municipalities basically started locally in Rhinebeck, and Kingston kind of was their first municipality, and they were kind of using us as a training kind of thing. So we were for years able to have the system and stuff for very, very cheap and stuff.
Do we have the landlord permits or licenses on Municity?
No,
Okay.
and that's something else that we're looking at. And to be kind of clear, my first priority would be to do rental property stuff, because vacant properties we're talking about, less than 100 properties. 3.5 years ago, we had over 300 vacant properties. We're down to about 70 vacant properties now. So, but rental properties, there's over 6,000. So,
And there's people in this,
Wow.
yeah,
unlike the other.
exactly.
Right. Good.
All right, so the next is a statement followed by 3 follow-up questions. Administrative Code 178-2, C outlines procedures for sending out unsafe building notices. How many have been sent in the last 12 months?
Yeah, there's been no unsafe building notifications sent in the last 12 months. So unsafe buildings doesn't mean that they weren't, we didn't get complaints on it, or they weren't.
There's some violations.
Right, there's violations issued on those properties, and we try to, get compliance and stuff, for any of those violations and stuff. But we haven't, sent any notices for unsafe properties.
Okay, then the next 2 questions might be irrelevant, but I'll ask anyway for you to know. But what obstacles has the department faced? Again, this is about the unsafe building notices. So I don't know if it hasn't happened in the last 12 months, but if it has happened, is there anything? Are there any obstacles that your department has faced with sending out unsafe building notices?
Well, I think that, some of the obstacles we're facing with unsafe building, vacant properties, I kind of will group the discounted together. It is difficult getting compliance and stuff with some of these properties. When a homeowner walks away from the property and they haven't left any forwarding contact information, which they normally don't, you're sending emails, are you sending a documentation and violations to the property that maybe just sitting in the mailbox or sometimes will come back. We then attempt to locate or find out what banking institution could be involved there and then start forwarding that same documentation to the banking institute. We do start issuing, we'll issue violation notices after the time given for compliance has passed. We do start issuing fees on that property. Now, we issue reinspection fees. Council has, one of the things we did through council is put progressive reinspection fees on, and they can go off quickly. So normally the first week, if they haven't responded, it's $250 reinspection fee. The second week, it hasn't been done, it's $500. The third week, it's $1,000, and then we start, then it's $1,000 from that point on. But usually once we get to $1,000, and there's a couple of weeks that hasn't, nothing's happened, then we'll talk to council about issuing a clearance statement. So that's kind of the process.
And that gets added to the tax bill. We just passed something last council meeting. They collect those.
Exactly. And I think this year alone, uncollected fees through our office are like $205.
Yeah, it was a big number. Yeah, it was a big number.
It's substantial.
All right, so admin code 178-2E outlines procedures for filing unsafe building notices with the Ulster County Clerk. How many have been filed in the last 12 months?
None have been
I
filed.
guess if you didn't have any to send, then you didn't have any.
Well, none of them sent. Let me add this, that in my review of prior, of other files and documentation that we have, I can't find any that were ever filed.
Oh, really?
Don't seem to do
All
that.
right, so the next, what obstacles is the department facing? Where's the relevant information tracks? Kind of the obstacles is
Right.
why this hasn't happened in the past. I guess it hasn't been tracked.
If it did occur, that information would be in municipality, unless it's 5 or 6 years past, then you would need to go to the street file to obtain that information.
Well, let me interrupt just for a second. It's 10 minutes to 8. We're scheduled to finish at 8. We can go right on.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're not?
I'm sorry.
Oh, there's no, okay.
Sorry.
I just don't want to set up the.
No, that's just
Okay.
because the Zoom
Right.
has to create a
Right,
meeting,
right,
but
okay, okay.
my friend, we could go all night,
All
which we
right.
won't.
So we don't want to torture you all night. That's what I'm getting at, is I don't want to torture you all night. So,
I assume that when you're ready to stop, you'll just let me know.
don't be shy.
Yeah, that was the way I was gonna go, because he did say it was a lot to do in a week.
Yeah.
There were a lot of questions, and more than I was anticipating, so just let me know, kick me or. All right, so the next question. Admin code 178-2I allows the city to recoup costs associated with remediating unsafe building conditions.
Yeah, so I will say that, so the letter of this law, there hasn't been any fees recouped for remediating unsafe building conditions. However, violations that have been issued, that have been fees collected for that I can't identify, an amount for those because they just go in as violations, so they're grouped with violations for any property.
Let me ask, do you ever knock down an unsafe building? Would our building department ever do that? I guess?
We have in the past, although, I think if you guys remember, they wanted to knock down Stone Building on Wilbur Ave, and, there was a huge outcry, so The mayor
It's still empty.
position.
It's still empty.
He doesn't want, yes, it is.
All right.
He doesn't really want to knock down buildings. He'd
Yeah, well, that-
rather try and, hopefully find someone to take the building.
Right.
And,
So that goes back to my land bank, when I was on land bank board, there were some buildings that should be knocked down. I guess is what I would say. And,
Well, we have had, even like Michelle said, Planet Wings was knocked down. I just don't, that was, I mean, was that building safe or was that DPW or we contract out, I thought?
I think DPW did some of it, but it was.
There was also asbestos too, so we did have to contract out, and then I think DPW did it. So it wouldn't even, that wouldn't even be your department, that would be.
I think about those ones down on North Street, or North Avenue. There's a couple down there that are in the floodplain and they're never gonna be habitated, and they're just waiting to fall down.
Yeah, there was a hole put on, taking those down, I think there was an attempt to get some, funding from somewhere, so we.
Launch, yeah, that kind of.
So, I'm just curious, yeah.
How long would it take for a house, there's a house fire on First Avenue? And that house didn't sit there, it's like sort down. How long does it take after insurance and how do you stay abreast? Houses like that?
I'm in contact with, the daughter, one of the daughters of that property, the person deceased in the fire. And they just got insurance approval and money a few months ago. So now it's just finding the appropriate contractor to take it down. There aren't a lot of contractors around that have the appropriate asbestos and lead certifications to remove buildings. So that there is a little bit of an issue, and in this climate where everybody's so busy, it can take a little while before they get there to take it down. But I'm hoping that one's going to come down soon.
I'm just wondering with some of these more procedural questions, if there is talks between department heads on how to make, because it's not just your department that are affected by this, or maybe other departments like the Michigan Court Council to be useful. I know there's staffing issues there too, at least currently, but I'm just wondering if there are conversations to kind of better track some of these and just do a more streamlined process for some, to make sure that we're, like the also filing unsafe building notices with the Ulster County Clerk. I mean, if you don't even recall ever in your time doing that, I mean, just figuring out better systems.
None of my staff has ever remembered
Filing.
that happened.
Okay,
Yeah.
and yeah, sounds
We're
like
supposed to do that if we condemn a building, yes, like that's what.
for filing
Maybe
unsafe, if you're filing unsafe building notice. I'm just wondering if there is something that we could be doing and encouraging as council to get appropriate departments to discuss how we could do this
Well,
in a more efficient way, and also for some of these to actually just be doing them.
Well, that conversation is going on right now. The Court Council is, they're working on 78 and stuff, and we have had conversations in meetings and trainings about enforcement in general, and they're preparing documents and stuff for it to be a little bit more streamlined and not so hard on what we say.
Okay, it's a work in progress.
It is.
Okay, right, if the next question is, kind of similar, and the code 179-6 gives,
Before-
did I skip something?
Well, no, before you go, I just want to add, what obstacles and stuff the building department is faced with some of these properties. There are a couple challenges and stuff when we're dealing with some of these properties. And I know, local code and even state code, permits building safety staff, to, go in and take corrective action when you can't get compliance. that creates some issues and stuff. I know, the past counsel's office, not Barbara, but the past counsel's office, didn't think that, either city staff or even hiring contractors to go on some private property to conduct those activities was a good idea. Now, Barbara and them may have a little bit different, viewpoint and stuff, but, there's certainly a very real concern about liability, when that happens. In the event that someone gets hurt on the property, or something gets damaged on the property and the owner says that they damaged it, kind of falls back on it, that come back to the city. I'm sorry.
It's a tough trade-off.
Yeah.
If the property causes a hazard to the neighborhood, what's there's exposure there too. So I'm just saying it's a very tough thing to think
Yeah,
about.
there's a house.
One of the new and main concerns for me and my staff too, is that we had to go on or sending somebody on, is that if there's a property owner that's still there and it becomes confrontational,
Right.
We hear the stories all the time, and we're certainly, Jeannie and I are aware of code enforcement officers getting shot and killed, and so those things have to be taken into consideration when we're kind of adapting or adjusting this particular law. Also, from a building safety staff viewpoint, even if we did go on or want a contractor to go on and do these projects and stuff, depending on what the project is, now you have building safety staff creating contracts and managing construction projects. That can be, time consuming.
Yeah.
So, not to say that we aren't willing to do that, but we need staff.
This is right, prepared to do that. Staff, I'm sorry, go back to the
Yeah.
question.
I think that allows the city to recoup costs associated with remediating unsafe building conditions, and I skipped over a couple of them. One of them I just wanted to go back to, because it's kind of my point of bringing in other departments was, so I guess this is more just, if you could consider this, if this is in the works, this is great, but are there any ways that the comptroller, fire department, water department, KPD, DPW, and or the assessor might help to create a list of standardized costs to streamline this process, i.e. calculate a fixed fee for boarding up a window or dealing with a pipe issue? That way, kind of have like a checklist of, okay, these are all things that we're gonna have to do, that your department doesn't have to scramble to try and figure out, that they could say, like DPW could probably help with figuring out how much it would cost to board up a window, roughly, anything like that. Maybe that's just a suggestion, if that's hopefully is part of the conversations.
It certainly has been part of the conversation, dealing with the city's procurement requirements and the need to have the work done at prevailing rates and stuff play a part in that. I'm sure we could come up with some standardized costs and stuff, but the types of violations and repairs that could be needed are so vast that you could never include all of those.
Your department, you're not an operational department, you're an enforcement department, which is, so you would be helped with operational stuff. Not good.
Yeah, I think this one is just to have a
Right, no, it's-
starting
yeah.
guideline versus
Just to get.
starting over every single time.
So it makes sense to have it.
Yeah. So that would be great to see happen.
Means cost, I mean, the published books, for contractors with costs, so it'd be a good idea to have one of our own someday. They
Yeah.
can say, if there's a building closed up, this is,
And I'll say it for these projects and stuff that, these buildings that are not non-city owned, we'd be looking at hiring outside contractors. And, I've already had the conversation with Ed and, they won't go on, city-owned properties to do work and stuff. I understand his reason, but that's.
Non-city properties, is that what you said?
Right, non-city properties, yes.
Well, and I would imagine that this is actually not a question, but this is stuff that we really need to consider, especially in lieu of Tyler B. Hennepin, of making sure that we kind of know what those surplus costs are going to be. Yeah. I think other people will disagree with me, but maybe Barbara especially. I think that we could use Tyler B. Hennepin as a good time to make good changes, and hopefully other municipalities and states are doing the same. So I'll get a little soapbox there.
As we kind of go through this and stuff, I just ask everyone to understand. The building safety covers so many different areas that we're aware that there are deficiencies in what we do. We're obviously not blind to that. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and these things are not easy. They're not easy to take care of, and it takes time. We just, Bartek was instrumental in getting the SDR program up and running. And it took Bartek over a year of work with the software company to just get a program up for one aspect of what we do for a little over 100 properties. I mean, and I really saw the emails going back and forth, and for him to develop the workflows and everything for our office. And he's an IT software guy.
Oh, yeah, well, sure, yeah.
I don't think our building safety, their brains don't work that way, and we're construction, people. So, but I say that to say that we would need some specialized assistance to get all those things in place.
I think at least the questions that I've asked so far is kind of the point of these questions is to figure out how we can be tolerant, not to just say what is wrong with the department. I mean, common council, we have flaws too.
Oh.
So, it's more of like, how can we, just kidding, we don't. Just to figure out as a city and in a more collaborative way, instead of each of us working in our own little space.
I'm looking at this as a healthy and helpful conversation and stuff like that.
Right, so we go on. All right, admin code 179-6 gives the building department, fire department, and KPD authority to inspect vacant buildings for compliance with safety and maintenance standards. What currently triggers such an inspection?
Normally, if a vacant property is put on, it registers, it will trigger an inspection, or there's a complaint. I know code currently says that we're supposed to be in all vacant properties once a year. We are working right now. We've had conversations with Chief Ray, and we are going to start doing those yearly inspections. It's been gracious enough to create the placards that we're requiring. Working on them now, so hopefully in a couple of months we'll be starting that program.
Great.
Which is I'm sorry, which is great because that program, the way the program was set up, it will help to deter people from moving into those vacant properties. One of the requirements is that the banks conduct their own inspections once a month and log those inspections and stuff, which means that, you know, they would know if somebody's in the property.
That'd be great.
Do we have a place where these records are generated for this, or?
So all of our records are in Municity. I mean, you would have to know the property, but anyone can go on City Square and get that information. What activities been taken on that property. You also have one, you could go on our the building department's page to get information on what properties are on the registry, so.
Okay. And then if an inspection is triggered by a specific complaint, so a neighbor calls in, when does a follow-up inspection occur to confirm that the condition is remedied? Is there a specific timeline that you have to follow or do follow?
Sure, so when a violation notice is issued, there is a corrective action date on each violation notice. The time frame for that is determined on the severity of what the violation is.
Right. Admin code 179-12 allows the city to impose a fine of not more than $500 or 30 days in jail, or both, for each vacant building violation. Have we assessed any in the last 12 months? Have we ever done 30 days in jail? That sounds horrible. I'm grateful to hear that. Yeah,
Yeah, there's never one. And the fines, again, you know, we issue the reinspection fees and stuff. Just, it's kind of the way that it's been done and stuff, but I know we are talking to council about how they'd like to see it done and stuff. I know there's, you know, these fines say that we can issue a fine daily. For the SDRs, that is going to be done, because it's just, you know, it's a review on the computer and you can identify it and take a snapshot and send it. And that Bartek actually is handling that portion of the SDR enforcement. But for most other violations, daily fees or fines is not really practical, you know, because it requires us to go out each day, take pictures of the violation over again, come back, do the paperwork to send out. It's just not practical. Although we are doing it on a couple of the larger
problems, hotspots.
Yeah, a couple of larger developments, housing developments and stuff that we've had a lot of problems with and stuff. And it's taking a long time to get compliance and stuff. They are getting paid daily. And they're still moving slow, but they're all moving.
People, yeah. All right, so any obstacles with that? I mean, it's just your work in progress. It sounds like, okay. What system, if any, does the department have to archive previously issued violations?
Yeah, again, all the violations that have been issued and any action taken is recorded in Municity.
Okay. What additional resources, if any, does the department need to monitor the status of previously issued violations in order to collect per day fines authorized under the code? This is like the second chunk of questions. Past that. I just asked this one here. Yes. Yeah. wordy question. You want me to, did everybody catch that? He's looking at us.
What do you want me to do?
Could you read it?
Yes.
What additional resources, if any, does the department need to monitor the status of previously issued violations in order to collect per day fines authorized under the code, which of course you just said they're not necessarily doing per day fines, but is there anything that your department needs to make that better, whether or not you're doing per day fines or?
Yeah, I don't, at this point, I don't, well, we certainly could, look at, some software add-ons and stuff that could, automate, some of the fines or send out notices that, the next fine is being issued. So, yeah, software could help and assist in that process.
Is that something that you could talk to, or just in your conversations while working on some of these, talk to either corporate counsel or IT, maybe they have systems that could help the department?
Sure.
What feedback, if any, does the department have on the proposed changes to code chapters 178 and 179?
That's one of the questions that I kind of didn't respond to yet. I know Barbara sent it to me too for to review and comment on it. I just haven't.
Will you be able to answer that with more time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can send you whatever I send Barbara. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I think we would all really appreciate that. Okay, thank you. What is the impact of the new zoning code on the departments, and how many new staff do you think will be required to meet the expected demands? The increase in demand due to the volume of building going on in Kingston and the upcoming retirement of at least one building inspector.
Yes, we actually have one building inspector and a housing inspector leaving. Very soon, in the next couple of days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Friday's my last day.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so, what I kind of proposed in, the 2024 budget, had I known that, the part-time housing inspector was leaving, I probably would have asked to, create, or turn that position into a full-time position also. But what's proposed right now is the addition of 1.5 staff members. The zoning officer's position that Eric would be moving into actually Jeannie's position, so it's going to open up that part-time position, which I've asked to be turned into a full-time senior building inspector's position with the responsibilities of zoning enforcement, SDR enforcement, and ADU.
So you're looking for 2 full-time equivalents?
Well, I'm actually-
You didn't ask for that.
It'd be 1.5.
Well, but you're really looking for 2.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so
I've only asked for 1.5.
But 2 would be the answer.
2 would.
Is that enough?
I think, one, we're restricted by how much room we have for staffing,
Okay.
in the building department, but I think that's a good start until, I understand better how, the new zoning and stuff is gonna reflect on what we do. So, I would say for now, I think that.
Are you gonna be able to find 2 qualified people who've gone through the building inspector training, all that certification, all that exciting stuff?
That is a challenge, particularly right now. The part-timers, will be difficult, but even full-timers right now are difficult to find. Department of State Buildings and Standards was aware that there was going to be mass retirement in the last 2 years. And I don't think they took a proactive approach to, that happening and stuff. You have to be employed by a municipality to take their training for free. You can't pay for it, it's low pricing. So I don't, I think they could have done a better job of creating a pool of certified people to draw.
Would you be open to taking on people who are, interested in this but not certified yet and sponsor them?
It depends on the position. Yeah, we certainly do that for like our housing inspectors positions. You don't have to be certified coming in and stuff. And even our plumbing inspector, he had a lot of experience in the field. So, that for that particular position was even more important than having a certification.
Right.
So yeah, the answer is yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So then these are civil service positions, competitive, take tests.
Yeah.
And the qualification to get in the test is certification. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's further complicated because in April, New York State decided that a new hire that isn't certified now can't start their official duties until they've completed like 60% of their classes.
How long does it take? 6 months?
So the classes themselves take about 3 months. However, you have to register for the classes, and you usually don't get into your classes for about 3 months. So we're usually talking about 6 months down the road before they're able to start acting in their official capacity. Now they can train, we can take them out, they can train with us and stuff, but I can't send them out to do anything on their own.
Right. But so you can take, in theory, you can take somebody provisionally, train them, have them take the test, and then appoint them.
We take someone provisionally and appoint them, and then they take their training.
And then when the test comes
And
around.
then take the test.
Yeah. Okay.
Then that often happens though, right? Because you never know when the test, or you can't coordinate the test with.
No, the problem
many
would be,
people.
the problem would be, can you get them as a provisional employee without the training? And that would be the issue. And if you can, that's good.
Right, yes.
If you can't, then that's a problem.
We had, it took us a long time. I mean, we had a fire inspector that did commercial property inspections. Tom left, got better, offer in Harold. And it took us a while to fill that position and stuff. Actually, in my conversation with the mayor, I had to modify the job description. I think maybe the way that it was initially written, people thought it was more of a fire, a actual fire instructor trying to figure out how a fire was started. So we made those modifications. I also changed the position title to senior building inspector. So if we we get the senior building inspector position in budget and stuff, that would create 3 of those positions for me and allow me some flexibility with those positions. If someone doesn't work out as, the zoning guy or commercial inspections, I can move them within those positions and not have to go back and forth as position title change or job description change.
So it'd be nice in the budget if you had 2 of those. 2 new ones.
Should we be discussing them?
Right, no, it's- yeah.
No, it's good
Yeah.
to start having those conversations. I think you actually kind of already asked the next couple of questions, but I'll just throw them out. Well, this is your batch of questions, so. Do you expect recruiting to be a challenge? I think that was absolutely answered. Have you thought about how you would orient new employees, do you have a plan for new people? I think that's kind of asked and answered. That's what you could do. Has the department experienced an increase in requests for service with the new code? You've already also talked. Is everybody comfortable with that question already answered? How do the requests, you're good. How do the requests for building safety inspections and services break down in terms of percentages, such as requests for inspections, building permits, new construction, additions to existing structures, citizen complaints, etc.?
Yeah, I wasn't able to put together a percentage kind of diagram or anything, but I gave
You
it.
gave me a number, so that's asked and answered. I think that was your question. Also, having visited the office and seen the cramped quarters in which the department operates, are there ideas about how to address this current situation?
Yeah, this is.
We've asked this question before.
Short term, the only option is to put some staff in a different location, which I'm against doing. I think it's important that we're under one umbrella, one roof, and we all day we're conversating about different issues that are going on, or different properties and stuff, and not have someone in the office. We need to have those conversations. I think it's a good idea. Long term, if the fire department's issue for additional space works out, I think there's a possibility that we may be able to resolve our issue.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That would be kind of nice to have. Yeah. Since the mayor didn't say anything about it, I didn't say anything about it either, but yeah, that seems like it could work. Enforcing the building code regarding existing structures is always a challenge and is frequently an issue the common council members bring to your department. And we also hear on a fairly regular basis from our constituents. Is there anything you could suggest that we can do to help the department?
I think, if we're able to add staff and increase, our add technology upgrade and stuff, that goes a long way to helping us resolve some of those issues faster. We've all called and some things we're able to take care of right away and call you back and say that others take a little longer. I think, just letting the constituents, providing them with kind of a real expectation of when things might be taken care of is important. And kind of just look through that process of how we get to the funds and then end up at an appearance ticket or something.
And then that ended the batch that I sent you that was collected by Wednesday, and then I sent you another batch 2 days later. Were you able to get to those, or you?
Poor guy.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
We're here.
This was a separate email I sent.
Those are the hard questions.
They from you?
So,
I'm not rounding anybody out with anything, but I guess I did for you.
No, that's all right.
Sorry, I was trying not to, and it's tired of having you there. Are you good with these questions? You're up? All right, so please give us an update on STR registration. How many of each license type have you been issued? How many of these STRs have been inspected? And what revenue line on the budget will the license and inspection fees be listed? So the first one is how many of each license type has been issued?
So, So far, there have been 60 SDRFs.
SDRs?
Yeah.
SDRs?
SDRFs, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
SDRLs is only 4. SDRROs are 3. To date, 32 have been inspected. 11 more are scheduled to be inspected. And there are 22 that have submitted their registration and paid, but have not called to schedule that.
And it's on them to call to make the appointment?
It is on them, however, actually, we're meeting with Bartek next week to go over the process for those particular properties and stuff like
Because if
that.
they don't call to schedule, you can't just say, oh, okay, then
Right,
that's it. Okay, so just figuring out what that will look like.
right.
And then the last part of that question was what revenue line of the budget? I don't know if.
Right, so building safety, we only have 2 revenue lines. It's a building revenue line and a zoning revenue line. We are having that discussion with comptroller and Vortex, so we haven't arrived at whether or not it's going to go into that line right now. It's sitting there. We're not sure it's going into the existing line or we're going to create a new one. So I can't fully answer that.
Next question, we again did a couple pieces off of it. Please give us a step-by-step run through of the process for enforcing the code for an unlawful STR. And has enforcement begun? And do we issue a new violation for each day an STR is operating unlawful? So I guess the first thing is the process for enforcement.
Right. So enforcement is going to be, it's a joint kind of venture between building safety and housing initiatives. Building safety will handle, kind of the intake, inspections, issuing new licenses, going out and conducting inspections for complaints or violations. Housing initiatives, it will enforce the unlawful properties and stuff. He's able, Bartek's able to monitor the website and see what properties have been identified and send out the appropriate notifications. And he has just begun sending out taking snapshots of advertisements and stuff for properties that we've already sent out notification that they need to register for. He's taking snapshots each day and preparing a documentation to go to council process.
Actually, that rest of the question will be answered once he comes back, or comes back to council to figure out that. Next question, please give us, there's only a few left. Breathe. Please give us an update on staffing levels and what we need to be able to keep up with enforcement, which I think that's absolutely. Please explain the process if a multifamily building does not pass inspection. Are tenants appraised of any action before a building is posted?
Right. So multifamily properties, when they are inspected, most of the time there's some type of violation that's identified. The range could be a smoke detector, it could be something more serious. Normally, they're issued the violation notice and given the appropriate amount of time to rectify that violation. If it isn't taken care of, if it's a serious violation and it's not taken care of, then the building could potentially be posted. But if that's the case, the tenants would normally be notified that if it's not taken care of by a certain date, that we might have to post a building. And in cases where we go there and there's imminent danger, we would notify them right then. They wouldn't get any pre-notice and stuff. But that's the most severe cases, and that doesn't happen that often.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
Okay, please explain how much building work a building super is allowed to do when it comes to plumbing and electrical issues, and should they be filing for permits to do so?
This is a little bit more difficult question to kind of answer and stuff. As far as building construction goes, there's no requirement for license to build, construct anything. Any contractor can do that work. Yes, some things do require building permits, but small repairs to walls, floor, or painting, those things don't require permits. Plumbing, some smaller repairs are allowed. They can replace a faucet, they can replace a sink or a toilet, those type of things. When they start cutting into pipes and stuff, then permits are required. Any change, any repairs to pipes or replacements and stuff, all that stuff requires permits. Similar situation with electrical work. Someone wants to change a light fixture, they don't need a permit for that. They want to change outlet covers or stuff like that, they don't need it. Even some people have the skill set to replace an outlet. It's not that big a deal. We probably aren't pushing the need for a permit or a license to do that. Anytime wiring is changed, replaced, or installed, then you need a licensed electrician. You need to have permits in place. And then, there's so many different work items that we could talk about and stuff. Code does leave a little leeway for the authority having jurisdiction to make on some maybe some unique issues or something.
Great. And the last question is a duplicate about the zoning code, so I'll just say it's asked and answered, but we do have it in the resolution that we passed that we will keep coming back to the zoning code, it's the common council that is. So I trust that you and your department will be part of those conversations to bring us so that you'll let us know. So I just wanted to make that clear, and that's all the questions that I've received, and intended to receive ahead of time. I don't know if anybody, that was a lot of information, so thank you very much.
Lastly, you got anything you want to tell us?
Good question.
I'm tired, I'm hungry. Everything else to add.
You gave us a lot of information. Thank you.
I'll say this, that some members that come in to sit down and talk to me. Our doors, my doors are always open, call me, make an appointment, stop down and talk to me about any issues, or if you want more information about the department, or if you have an idea of something that might help us out. Always be there, always looking for way to improve efficiency stuff.
Thanks for coming in.
You're always
Thank you very much.
responsive and appreciate
Yeah, no, it's,
The constituent services,
it.
yeah.
I try to be, sometimes it's difficult when, I get probably about 70 emails a day.
Well, it's been very busy the last few years, so you've had a really heavy load, so. we could keep going, so.
Thank you for all that, because you've always been very prompt when I write to you too about constituent things, so I appreciate it. And they appreciate it.
I know we got that church issue.
I know.
That actually annoys me that they,
Isn't that
they
annoying?
after, 2 days after, they
I
did
know.
it again.
We are recording this meeting, I don't know.
So on that note. Second, all in favor? Adjourn.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
But really, thank you very much for all that you do.
Thanks, Elisa. Good night.